an entire mockery of all this. This is entire mockery. This is like the government of Canada laughing at you and pretending, oh, you want help? Here you go. Psych.
Disruptive.
Weird thing to happen. So you may recall there have been new reports coming out, and most recently with the global news release of this, which was kind of surprising that they would even announce this after years and years of trying to cover it up, that the government not only mismanaged COVID and mismanaged the whole mandate process, which was a notorious disaster, just mandating this experimental vaccination onto people that people did not know what was coming to them, and the side effects, the adversity that came out of it is really shining a light on just the absolute turmoil of the pandemic. Well, Global News did a little bit of investigation. Like I said, it was surprising that they even mentioned about this, about the government's program, the Vaccine Injury Support Program, also known as VISP. And there was a lot of interesting speculation on how well the government not only poorly managed COVID and the pandemic, but also how they're poorly managing the support structure after the pandemic. And it really puts this into perspective. So this guy, Dan Mazier, says, breaking, the Liberals are blocking the Health Committee from investigating their vaccine injury support program despite damning reports of mismanagement. So there was breakdowns of this program talking about how poorly mismanaged it is, how the funding was not tracked properly, how recipients were still lacking the funds. They had to wait months and years, and they did not get total responses from this agency. How this agency, they hired people that were completely disqualified. One person even said it was like a room full of high schoolers. It was like interns running the show, not health experts, not people in the expertise of dealing with psychotic cartels of the pharmaceutical industry and handling recipients. Nothing like that, but just regular run-of-the-mill interns that were just siphoning tax dollars into this program that people were to believe that was going to help people, but it didn't turn out to be. So the Vaccine Injury Support Program is a $50 million liberal disaster. Thousands of Canadians are left waiting years for help while millions of tax dollars pad the pockets of a consultant with no apparent health expertise. So this program that's supposed to help analyze people that have adverse side effects that suffered through the mandate, through this experimental vaccine, which I can tell you is very safe and effective according to YouTube. All they did was pad the backs and pad the pocketbooks of lawyers, of corporate lawyers and managers. It didn't actually go towards recipients that were hoping to get some sort of reimbursement after the horrorness of dealing with the adverse side effects. It's not to manage, not to be that safety net between the pharmaceutical lobby groups and the recipients. It's more just a shire of a government program that they're money laundering. That they're money laundering tax dollars, waving the flag of, oh, we're here to help you. And then they kept that money. They kept that money for themselves and laundering it to other aspects that has nothing to do with vaccine injury support. So here, why is more money going to consultants than injured Canadians? Conservatives are demanding a full investigation. So here's a bit of global news that recently did a full expose of the vaccine injury program and their mishandling stuff. Now here's them reporting about the cover-up of trying to diminish this investigation. even though the reports are out, even though the scandal is fully clear to people, they want to cover up this investigation. So watch this.
There are calls for an investigation into a multi-million-dollar federal program meant to help Canadians seriously and permanently injured by vaccines. The Vaccine Injury Support Program was created by the Liberal government during the pandemic to provide financial support to those who are hurt. But many who have turned to the program say they've been waiting for months, sometimes years, to get a response. Now, as Carolyn Jarvis reports, MPs are demanding an emergency meeting to get to the bottom of it.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It's a slap in the face to every Canadian taxpayer.
The vice chair of the Federal Health Committee, Dan Mazur, is asking for an investigation into the Vaccine Injury Support Program. After Global News exposed allegations, the program is not providing the fair and timely access to financial help it promised.
People's lives are depending on this. This is an embarrassment.
Mazur and the
So that's the guy that made that tweet, by the way. I should have said that beforehand, but Dan Mazur is the health critic. So he's the guy responsible for holding the Public Health Committee of the Liberal Party accountable. That's who made that tweet.
Mazur and the 3 other Conservative MPs on the committee are requesting an emergency meeting. Mazur says the chair, Liberal Hedy Fry, has not responded. Fry's staff told Global News she is away and unavailable. The Public Health Agency of Canada hired a private company called Oxaro to operate the Vaccine Injury Support Program. New data shows it has paid Oxaro more than $54 million to run the program since it launched in 2021. Only a third of that, $18 million, has reached the injured. $36 million went to administrative costs. Today, 1,738 people are still waiting for their claim to be processed.
They have no clue what they're doing.
Laura Haight has been battling VISP for more than 3 years.
3.
She was diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome following a flu vaccine, an extremely rare but documented side effect.
I thought this group would be actually, in my corner and advocating for me. Instead, I felt like I was an annoyance.
Her claim was denied, the medical board stating an infection was more likely to have caused the condition. She is appealing with the support of her doctor, who argues otherwise. Meantime, she's out more than $70,000 with no timeline for when her case may be decided.
Good.
The Guillain-Barré Syndrome Foundation says the program needs to be overhauled.
When a GBS patient finds themselves in the ICU, they need support, financial support and other supports within days or weeks, not months or years.
I think you've forgotten that there are people at the end of this line who have been damaged.
We again asked the Federal Health Minister, Marjorie Michel, for an interview, but her team declined, saying they're working on it, but wouldn't explain what that means.
So there you go. Nobody knows what the hell is going on. But it is amazing that the administrative costs of this program that is failing people is so extraordinarily high that they're still continuing to fund this, even though it's not going towards the treatment of the most vulnerable people, which is the people with the adverse side effects. So, and even the other organization that called them out is saying that this needs to be overhauled, that this is a complete cutout, that this is not, it's just an absolute farce, that the government that mandated this experimental vaccine onto people, causing the adverse side effects, and then pretending to be the solution, be the arbiter of saying, hey, we're here to help you. We're giving millions of dollars of taxpayer money, even though they're not trying the pharmaceutical agency. They're not going after them for wrongful convictions, for wrongful wrongdoing, for the malpractice, for the mass amount of misinformation that they were telling people, for occupying the government, for mandating this experimental vaccine. None of that ever got introduced into this. Isn't that kind of interesting? But taxpayer money that's supposed to go towards the vulnerable people, it's not going to the vulnerable people. So there needs, as Ricky Ricardo would say, there's a lot of explaining to do. in this. So that leads to this article. This is from Todayville, Edmonton. And yes, I had to find it on a third-party site because no mainstream media outlet, not even Global News, really, highlighted deeply as compared to this. So conservatives demand probe into Liberal vaccine injury program's $50 million mismanagement. Conservatives are calling for an investigation into the Liberal-run vaccine injury program, which has cost Canadians millions, but has little to show for it. On July 14th, 4 Conservative members of Parliament signed a letter demanding answers after an explosive Global News report found that the Liberals' Vaccine Injury Support Program, or VISP, misallocated taxpayer funds and disregarded many vaccine-injured Canadians. The federal government awarded a $50 million taxpayer-funded contract to Exario Incorporated, formerly Raymond Chabot Grant Thorne Consulting Incorporated. The purpose of this contract was to administer the VISP, the letter wrote. So, this is not a nonprofit grassroots organization. This is not a private. This is not an investigation firm. This is private contractors. These are multimillionaires that they paid to investigate, who no doubtly are also corrupted in the tune of the big pharmaceutical lobby. So this is an entire mockery of all this. This is an entire mockery. This is like the government of Canada laughing at you and pretending, oh, you want help? Here you go. Psych. This is what it is. However, there's no clear indication that Exario had credible experience in health or in the administration of health-related claims, raising valid questions about how and why this firm was selected. If it continued, Canada's VISP was launched in December 2020 after the Canadian government gave vaccine makers a shield from liability regarding the COVID-19 jab-related injuries. So that's another thing about all this, is why, if they're willing to put out this vaccine program to help support people with adverse side effects, why did the Canadian government still give liability shielding to the pharmaceutical lobbies? Why are they not being held accountable? Why are they not footing the bill and cost burden for these people that suffered under their product? And why did recently they gave them shielding liability? Think of how many pharmaceutical lawsuits there have been in decades, over decades of lawsuits by the pharmaceutical lobby until recently, until COVID-19 came around. Do you ever notice that? Until COVID-19, you're allowed to sue the pharmaceutical lobby. You're allowed to sue them. And a lot of the times, they actually won lawsuits because to the pharmaceutical giants, it was pennies to them. So they were willing to pay out to whatever patient dealt with what. But until COVID-19 changed that around. COVID-19, they bought into the legislator. They bought into the media. They bought into everything else to give themselves shielding so that you could not sue them and you could not obtain money from them. Isn't that interesting? However, mismanagement within the program has led to many injured Canadians still waiting to receive compensation while government contractors grow richer. Despite the $50 million contract, over 1,700 of the 3,100 claims remained unresolved. The Conservatives continued. Families dealing with life-altering injuries have been left waiting for years for answers and support they were promised. Furthermore, the claims do not represent the total of Canadians injured by the allegedly safe and effective COVID shots, as inside memos have revealed that the Public Health Agency of Canada officials neglected to report all the adverse side effects from COVID-19 shots. No, they didn't neglect. They purposely hid it from the general public. It's not a matter of incompetency. It's a matter of diabolical purpose They did it intentionally. It's not an oopsie daisy, I forgot to release this information. It's no, I don't want this information to be released because then people questioning the vaccines will become hesitant to get this pharmaceutical drug, and the pharmaceutical lobby that paid me is going to lose money. They won't be able to make billions of dollars. Look at Bill Gates. He got a 20-to-1 interest out when he invested into to vaccines and the patents. And even went as far as not telling the staff to report all events. The PHAC downplaying the vaccine injuries is a little surprise to Canadians, as a 2023 secret memo revealed that the federal government purposely hid adverse side effects so as not to alarm Canadians. So there you go. Again, it's not incompetency. It's not, oh, they just were stupid to not release this data. They purposely lied to you. They purposely demised the public so that everyone conformed into the pharmaceutical agenda. And now there's hundreds and thousands of Canadians and Americans and people all across the world that are dealing with adverse side effects, dealing with this cover-up that the pharmaceutical lobby is still doing in 2025. That's why I'm still reporting on this. That's why I'm still reporting about this. I know so many people are like, oh, why are you still talking about COVID? That was like 5 years ago. It's done. It's over with. Let's move on. Am I going to move on from this? Am I going to move on from the fact that people became paralyzed, healthy human beings that have had the worst side effects known to them, that their health deteriorated the moment they got injected? Am I going to move on from that? No. Especially when there's more cover-up being done about this. The $50.6 million that Auxario Incorporated has received, $33.7 million has been spent on administrative costs, compared to only $16.9 million going to the vaccine-injured Canadians. The letter further revealed that former VISP employees have revealed that the program lacked professionalism, describing what conservatives described as a fraternity house rather than a professional organization responsible for administering health-related claims. Reports of constant workplace drinking, ping pong, and Netflix are a slap in the face to taxpayers and the thousands of Canadians waiting for support for life-altering injuries, the letter continued. Regardless of this, the Liberal government under Prime Minister Mark Carney is considered renewing its contract with Auxario. So this is why I keep talking about this. This is why I'm never going to let this go silent. Because they're still going to use this cutout of the government that's failing Canadians. That's a waste of our taxpayers, thinking that's going towards the most vulnerable people dealing with adverse side effects from a horrific drug and an experimental vaccine that we know the pharmaceutical lobbies are not going to be pressured, because the Canadian government gave them a liability shield. And now they're throwing more Canadians under the bus with this. And they're renewing the contracts. Because indeed, this would hardly be the first time that Liberals throw taxpayer dollars at a COVID program that's later exposed as ineffective and mismanaged. Canada's infamous ArriveCam app, yes, we all know about that, which has mandated for all travelers in and out of Canada in 2020, has cost Canadians $54 million, despite the Public Health Agency of Canada admitting that they have no evidence that the program saved lives. Details regarding the app and the government contracts surrounding it have been hidden from Canadians, as Liberals are exposed in 2023 from hiding an RCMP investigation into the app from auditors. An investigation of the ArriveCam app began in 2022 after the House of Commons voted 173 to 149 for a full audit of the controversial app. So this is so amazing. to watch the same government that caused a lot of these dilemmas, the same government that mandated, the same government that put all this horrendousness to our country, coming out to say that they're going to be the problem solvers of their problems, and coming to less than a shock to realize that the problem solving is actually causing more problems than it's solving. Go figure. Go figure. That the people intentionally trying to solve their own problems would just cause more problems, more dilemmas in the long run. So, here, for example, this is Kayla Pollock, who many people are aware of her situation. She is one of the Canadians that unfortunately are dealing with the worst of adverse side effects. She, a healthy individual that became paralyzed. Doctors lied to her. She's been dealing with lawsuits. She's dealing with loss of jobs. She has no income. She's dealing with disability, and things are not looking good for her. And she has been desperate. She's been desperate for it. So that's why she put her hope into something like a vaccine injury program, thinking that was going to be a pathway into redemption. But it turned out to be a shell. It turned out to be hollow. That was not going to help people. So she revealed this is what Canada calls transparency. This is the actual budget to run the vaccine injury support program, the one that hasn't even collected all my medical records 3 years after confirming I was paralyzed by the Moderna shot. They blacked out salaries, they blacked out contracts, and they blacked out accountability. Over $18.5 million spent while injured Canadians like me are left to beg for help, crowdfund our care, and wait in silence. This isn't healthcare. This is a cover-up. So she reveals, this is the document here, one of the documents, where this is from the Public Health Agency of Canada. You can see here, this is the Public Health Agency of Canada document. See at the top there. And all this has been redacted. All this information. So key critical points of where the money's going towards, who it's going towards, where the administrative costs are coming from. All that is left out black. And none of this is being disclosed to Canadians, even though it's your taxpayer dollars. Even though this is millions of dollars, saying that it's going towards the vaccine injured people that they're supposedly claiming to help, none of it ever gets disclosed. None of it's getting disclosed. But yet, Mark Carney is going to renew this same company. Renew the same company that's wasting away tax dollars away from Canadians. So, here, this is another post that somebody made. This is from Marty Up North, unacceptable fact checker, saying this is Canada's procurement minister telling a parliamentary committee that they knew the vax was improperly tested, but they still went ahead and ordered it. The contracts are redacted and unavailable for us to review because the drug companies knew their product was dangerous. So the Canadian government knew it was dangerous. They still ordered it anyway. They gave liability shielding to the pharmaceutical lobbies. And now, for the supposed problem-solving measure of the Vaccine Injured Support Program, or VISP, is now turning out to be a hollow cutout of money laundering from the government into this administrative private equity company that has nothing to do with helping the vaccine injured. So, literally, this is a mockery of the entire situation. They are mocking you. The entire the Mark Carney government is mocking you. And now they want to renew the contracts. They want to renew the contracts and keep this going. So here's what this guy, who's part of the committee investigating this is what he reveals.
Require employees of the Government of Canada that access these documents to sign confidentiality agreements. And why is that? Why is there much more redactions, as my colleague said, in these documents than in other documents? It's because these documents were signed at the beginning of a pandemic, when everybody was desperate for vaccines, when companies were being told to rush vaccine production, do testing in an unprecedented way, in a way they normally don't do it. So these companies were exposed to way higher liability, putting their products on the market than they normally would, because they didn't do the type of testing that normally takes these drugs years to come to market. They did it all in less than a year. So that's why these companies said, if I'm going to deliver you this product that I haven't tested in my normal way, I want to have different conditions. And with companies, all countries around the world competing with each other to get these, the countries had less leverage than they normally do. For example, if we were entering into flu vaccine contracts or monkeypox contracts or other things that were normally available, this would be a different issue. But these are already signed. They were signed at a time the government didn't have that leverage in negotiations. We just wanted to sign as many vaccine contracts with as many producers as possible because Canadians were desperate for vaccines. And in the end, it worked out. We got vaccines, and we were one of the countries that got to vaccinate everybody the fastest.
So they knew all this. They knew all this. The government knew this. They still signed the contracts anyway because they were bought by the pharmaceutical giants. They were bought by the criminals, and now they won't charge the criminals. They'll manufacture some sort of solution problem to help with the people of the adverse side effects by not actually helping them. So this whole thing has been an ultimate scam from the get-go. Just like the ArriveCam was an entire scam. It had nothing really to do with COVID to begin with. The ArriveCam was a gateway into digital ID processing, which they're now furthering, by the way. So they didn't even really need the ArriveCam because digital ID, digital currency, this idea that we're going to trace and monitor people and track where they're going, it's already coming. It's already coming with or without ArriveCam. So this whole thing has just been an absolute mockery. And speaking of mockery, here's a report. This is from the Western Standard, where the CMA president, that's the Canadian Medical Association, the CMA president says some people wrongfully claim back's injuries. So the medical president, the Canadian Medical Association president, instead of looking towards the pharmaceuticals and looking towards the chemical concoction that caused many of these side effects, many of these adverse claims, many of the vaccine injured, instead of looking to the scandal that's right in front of our noses that many people have are now known to, she's still going to go with the lie. She's still going to go with the lie. Why? Because no doubt, in order to be the president of this committee, in order to maintain her stature and her position of power, she has to go with the flow. She has to go, it's the trust the science. Remember that? Trust the science. Don't ask questions. Don't do your own research. Don't look into things. Just trust us. Trust us. We know better than you. You don't want to do your own research. You don't want to read into things. You don't want to be that patient that gets a second opinion. What the hell is that? Because once, if she actually did, she probably wouldn't be getting this position. Because they know they go after doctors. They know they go after professionals. Look at what they did to Robert Malone. Look at what they did to Peter McCullough. Look at what they do to everybody. Look at what they do to RFK. Look at what they do to nurses. Nurses at hospitals. They go to individual hospitals and fire the nurses who actually treated people. Actually treated people who had COVID and had successful results. But they fired them because they wouldn't go down the rabbit hole. They would not go down the assembly line of the pharmaceutical giants. They were treating people with ivermectin, which is not horse paste. It's an award-winning medicine. And hydroxychloroquine and monoclonals and everything else. Nobody was talking about vitamin D. No one was talking about immunity. No one was talking about natural position. No one was talking about any of it. They yelled at people like Joe Rogan, who was interviewing doctors, but they wanted to trust you to go and watch MSNBC interview Bill Gates, of all people, about COVID and the coronavirus. So this is ultimately a mockery of this whole situation. And for people like Kayla Pollack, for so many other people, I'm disgusted by this. I'm disgusted by this. I myself had a bit of an injury, still got a bit of an injury with the vaccinations from Pfizer. They're very safe and effective according to YouTube standards. But this is just, it's such a slap in the face to the government. This is such a slap in the face from the Canadian government to its people, to the people that's funding them, to say that even when we do come to the resort of pretending to help you, we still want to make it worse for you and better for us. Because otherwise, if we actually did the intentions of helping you, we wouldn't be doing this. We would not be doing this. Because pharmaceuticals pay our bills. We get lobby funds from people that don't want us to help these vulnerable people. And it's just a complete betrayal of citizens, complete betrayal of the safety and security of your own people, of your own constituents, and just completely demises the very institution of Canadian healthcare. You know, we're supposed to be the country that makes it a standard. We're proud to have this universal basic coverage, and yet here we are hollowing out funding that should be going towards people in dire need who need that health care. We're hollowing out them to fund the pockets of administrators in a private sector position because they don't care about you. They don't care about you one bit.